Let's begin. Open, close. Heaven, energy, we look up. Breathe in, sink. Earth energy, we go down. Be receptive, open, welcoming, warmth and light. And sink that energy down to the dantian, the abdomen. Let's breathe in. Try to sink into the hips. The hands go down. Again, up. And down. In. And out. Let's reach a little lower and pump up and out. So rotate the hands back to back. Like you're lifting something heavy, pull up, raise your shoulders, and out. Another example of earth energy, like we're pulling something up, lifting something, and sinking back down into the earth. So you drop the shoulders, drop the head a little bit, pull with the legs, pull with the shoulders, breathe in, and out. And down, and up. Let's combine the two. So heaven energy, we look up, breathe in, lift up our spirits, sink, we feel more grounded, and breathing out down. As we go a little lower, we drop the shoulders, raise the shoulders, and expand out. So it's called heaven and earth. Up we breathe in, connecting to the heaven energy, sink down, connecting to the earth energy. From the earth, we pump up, strength of the earth, breathing in, and expand that strength, the feeling of wellness. So again, we breathe in, sit, sink, see the hip is going a little bit back and down. We feel more secure and grounded. A little lower, we pump up with the legs first, and then the shoulders, and then the hands last. Let's roll the shoulder forward, roll the hip back. So this is just a little warm up. You can see how we're sitting back a little bit with the hip, and a little forward with the shoulders. I like to exaggerate the shoulders. Breathe in, pull the hip back. It's like a little massage for the hips, a little massage for the shoulders. One of the nice things about these movements is the elbows stay down, arms pretty relaxed. The more relaxed, the more circulation. So mostly just pick up the wrist and just relax the hands down. So forward, back, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, so this one here is the first of the Shibashi exercises. A little warm up is just a little warm up for the feet, a little forward. And the wrist is pretty relaxed. Okay, so after the warm up, we pull the hip back, the hands go back towards the hip. You breathe in, open, like separating like an elastic. Press. For 2, 3, we sit. Okay, so again, you don't have to go too low, as long as you feel the legs working. That's 2. 3 is back to center. So yes, just sit into the hips a little bit. Keep the back straight, relax. You feel the legs working. The back is resting. It's good. So we stand up straight for 1, 2. I like to lean a little forward to massage the feet. Pressing, some effort, like you're pressing something together. For 3, 4, sit. Drop the elbows and breathe out. So it's pretty simple. The first exercise called broaden the chest. We open, breathe in, breathe out. Ooh. Dip the hip, drop, elbows, dip the hip, and breathe out. One more time, we breathe in. It's a double breath. We breathe in again. Breathe out. Ooh. Breathe out again. Hey. Next one is called separate the clouds. Stretch the fingers. Sit back into the hip. So grip the toes so we have a good base. So please be careful with the knees. Work the hip back more. And then we go up again. I like to lift up the chin. If we're separating the clouds, stretch the fingers. And just sink into the hips. This is a little nuance that I turn the hands, rotate the elbows, so we keep the arms curved like we're gathering, like a nice embrace. We breathe in. You can look a little higher, arc the back a little, and bending helps us to straighten our backs. So I bend forward. I'll bend a little bit back, like we're stretching up, reaching up, and just a little back and forward will help the back straighten, align. So breathing in, up, hold the breath until we start to go down, and we breathe out down. If you want to go lower, we can go a little lower, but watch the knees, never past the toes. So breathe in, sit, and breathe out down. Whoa. So breathe in. Stretch the fingers, stretch down to the toes. Now try to sit back. You see, I'm really pulling the hip back. Really good for the legs. Just for a few seconds, and then we go up, and you can rest your legs. Work your arms. Sit first. We only breathe out as we go down. Hey. We breathe in again. And out. Okay, the next one. One. You wave at the rainbow, 2. But it's actually 4 parts. If you want to do it like 1, pause in the middle, breathe in. 2, up and down. Sit on the hip. 3, we pivot the foot and wave. So 1, let's breathe in. 2, hold the breath, stretch up the shoulder, stretch down the hip, pivot the foot. So most of the weight is on one leg. And we wave the rainbow for 3. The breathing is in, hold the breath, and breathe out. So breathe in for 1, hold the breath for 2, and breathe out for 3. 4 is when we round the back, crunch the tummy, lift up the knee, and everything is tight or yang. We're going to wave twice. 1, 2, back to center and down. Let's breathe in for 1. Again, hold the breath for 2, sit. 3, wave with the rainbow, breathe out. 4, we breathe out again. Crunch the tummy, round the back, bring up the knee. Breathe out twice. 1, 2, back to center and down. So again, we breathe in, hold the breath, wave, breathe out with the knee, breathe out twice, 1, 2, and back down. If you want to do the dragon, it's a little variation. That's to swing the tail back for 2. It's still up and down, so it's like a martial art. You could have the hand turned out, like a block, backhand. So typical cross stance or dragon. You're gonna bring up the knee, so same idea, crunch. Breathe out twice, 1, 2, and back down. And then I breathe in again. So that's 1, 2. It's up and down, so balance changes very quickly. Cross back the dragon's tail. And 3 is wave. Now, when I go up with the knee, I'm actually going down, definitely, and back, because we're not going to fall forward if we sit back. So round the back, crunch the tummy, breathe twice, ha, ha, and back down. Okay, so let's do the next one. Open. Close the foot. Change the balance to that right hip and breathe out. So this is close. This is open. So open is lighter. So if we're sitting on that left hip, you can lift up with the other foot. So that's open. Always turn the foot, move the hand kind of at the same time, but definitely like feet first, balance first, and then we push hands last. So we have a good base to push or release. So open, we breathe in. Close the foot, the hip, and kind of in that sequence from the bottom to the top. Ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, hand. Breathe in. So just bend the elbow close to the ear. Close the foot, hip, and then we breathe out as we push. Breathe in. That's the open. Breathing out as you push. Breathing in as you open. Close the foot, hip, shoulder, and open. Pivot the foot. You can always test your balance. Hip, shoulder, and then release. Breathe in. Close the foot. And breathe out. And open. And close. Breathe in. And breathe out. So we must sit a little bit more down. Then we go forward. Like a ski jumper, lock the knees, pull the arms back, open the chest. For 1, 2, 3. Breathing in, hold the breath as you sit. Breathe out as the arms go down. And breathe out as you go lower with the legs as well. We lean forward, lock the knees, straight the back, pull the arms back, fingers tight. Everything is tight for 1, 2, 3. We breathe in up, lower the arms. As we use the legs, usually we breathe out as we use the legs. For cat, a little lower sang, lower sis. So really, when I go lower, it's not the knee going forward, it's the hip going back, like that. We don't hold it too long. We start to go forward, push the knee straight, back straight, arms straight, fingers tight. For 1, 2, 3. So like a 3-second stretch. And we circle the arms up and down. Arms will be level. We start to sit back with the hip. So always hip first, so we can save the knees. So again, we go down for 4, a little more back and down for 5. If you want, even more lower for 6. This is pushed up all into the shoulder. You can go up with the leg, the hip, go down with the hip. Always dantian first. The hip, abdomen first. The hand follows. Breathe in, breathe out. The hands are very much following the dantian. The dantian goes down, the hands go down. Dantian goes up, the hand goes up. And drop. So a few variations on this exercise. Test your balance, test your extension, like the backhand, extended. This one is way back of the moon. First we breathe in, find your balance point, the hip, keep the back fairly aligned, just pivot. This could be an elbow, could be a backhand, but keep sitting and keep your balance. Breathe in, just change the balance, straighten the back and pivot on the hip. Keep your alignment, do not overextend. And it's just a rotation from the hip. So it's mainly dantian first, or the hip, and then the rest of the body follows. So 1, we breathe in. 2, we breathe out. In. Let's go a bit lower, so we can go a little higher. And wave back at the rainbow. Breathe in. And breathe out. Pump down, pump up. Pump in. Pump out. So wave hands. Wave hands. It's actually turning the dantian again. The hand follows the turning of the waist. As you raise your hand, you can turn and change. Stay on the hip. Hip is actually going back a little bit. Then we turn. The other hip is going back, and that turns us to the 45 degree the corner. The important thing is to turn the torso and the hand follows. So pull the hip back, the arm is going a little bit back as well. That could be quite a quick elbow going back with the hip. And you can keep your alignment, hip and shoulder. So there are many options, many possibilities. We are just moving and in preparation. So our balance is good. As we move, get ready for a second technique, self-defense. Notice it's like holding a ball, and we turn the torso, and that upper body moves. It's mainly the hip turning, the hip is going back, and the ball is going a little more back or to the side. Okay, so usually we'll stop facing the corner 45 degrees. You can still see my torso. If I keep pulling the hip back and twisting the spine a little bit, the back, it's harder to see my torso because I'm turning about sideways. So that's just an option. Mostly, we don't want to turn too much. Just to the corner is the optimum 45 degree. So we still have balance. And if you try to pull me or push me, I can still resist. If I twist all the way to the side, it's easier to push me off balance or pull me. So 45 degrees, I can still resist by going forward and back and saying stop at it. So again, this is just the transition posture, mainly to change direction. So if I turn the hip, my arm follows. Where's that right hip? Pretty quick. Where's the left hip? If I exaggerate the hip, the hand follows. You see that? It's hard. It's hard to see because my pants are black, but I'm pulling the hip back and the hand's following. Okay, so that's wave hands. Okay, so push palm is to push and pull. So one's going back, one's going forward. I can pull with the right, push with the left. Breathe in for one, breathe out for the other. I like to, if you want to go up a little bit before you go down, that would be fine. Go up with one, up, down with the other. And twist. So pulling, pushing. So I'm going to pull the hip back, the arm goes forward as you go back with the hip. The other opposite arm goes out. So it's just that twisting again, the turning of the torso, or the waist rotation that we do in the beginning of all our classes. Every Tai Chi has a variation on turning the waist, loosening the hip, and then we can twist a little easier. So if you see my hand, it's going back. I'm just pulling the hip back. The back is straight. We're not straining the back at all. That's how we move. Again, I'll start to move to the other hip. And that's just my hand's going back, the other arm going forward. So that's what you want to see. When you look in the mirror, you can see your hip going back. And we're not going from side to side, we're just spinning more or less in the same centered position. So it's just really tight, really efficient way of moving. Turning the torso, twisting. And then we can use the legs if you want to go up and down. Breathe in as you go down, breathe out as you go up. And that's another pulling, maybe grabbing the person to get them closer. The other hand goes out. So these are martial art basic movements, but it's just really good for health. Good for the shoulders, good for the hips. I'm exaggerating the shoulders. I'm just kind of popping them up, dipping the hip down. And as the legs get tired, you can always like stand up straighter if you like, but it would definitely kind of keep sitting a little bit, resting a little bit on the hip. A little higher is fine, but try to hold it. So this is just muscle memory. If we have to hold our balance, maintain balance, recover balance, the strength is there. Okay. So that's just the first part. And let's finish. Begin with a nice heaven energy. Look up at the heavens. Welcome warmth and light from the heavens. The closing sequence, I'm going to bring the hands and energy from the heavens close to the face, like we're washing the face. Breathing out the worries. Dip into the hip, sit into the hips, wash the heart of sadness. Breathing out. And then the cleansing of the abdomen, I'm going to push a little more firm and breathe out a little lower. Okay, now rotate the hands. Let's lift up your heads, breathe in. Dip the hip. Bring the healing hands. It's called a cleansing breath with healing hands. Oh, the hands are warm. Wash away the worries. We're already sitting a little bit on the hips, so we're always kind of resting. So I'm going to sit a little lower into the hip, wash the heart of sadness. And lower, I'm going to cleanse the abdomen, like we're kind of scrubbing a little bit firmer. Again, rotate the hands, lift up the head, heaven energy. We breathe in, dip the hip, and wash the face. Wash the heart, a little lower into the hip. And lower still, cleanse the abdomen. So one time, we breathe in. And we breathe out. The worries. Breathe out. The sadness. And wash away any sickness. And finish.